In today's episode, we will add a very basic equipment window, show the player which weapon he has currently equipped. To get started, let's go to our widgets, right-click on our inventory slot and duplicate that. Call that our weapon slot. Double-click to open it up. We will remove the text amount since we can only have one weapon equipped, so remove that. Then let's go to the size box here and let's make it larger. 100 by 100 pixel should work. Compile and save. Then we can select the slot button and change the style here. So let's go to the hover state, and for the tint we will this time use something bluish. Drag the new color to the palette up here, hit OK. Then let's go to the press, select our blue color and make it a bit darker. Then we can right click on the style, copy it, go to the graph, and for our default style, paste it. Then also go to the dragged over style, paste it here. But you also have to go to the disabled and select a blue tint. Then we can remove the text amount visibility and the text amount binding. We don't need a slot index. We don't need the amount. And we don't need the detail widget. Then we can remove everything for our update slot event. Let's rename that to update weapon. Also we will need another variable called item class. That will be a BP master item class. Compile, save, and go to the inventory reference and uncheck editable and expose on spawn. Let's actually select the set dragged over to false and set the style button to default style. Right click, collapse to function. That function will be called reset style. Then let's actually implement the update weapon event. So what we'll do is get the inventory reference, get the top down char reference, and get his equipped weapon. Not the equipped mesh, but the equipped weapon. Off of that, search for is valid. And if it is valid, we will get the class and promote that to our item class. After that, off of the equipped weapon, get the item info and set our item info variable to that. Then let's drag in our item info and break it here. Drag in the item icon and set brush from texture. Texture comes from the icon of our item info, so connect that. After that, we can drag off the item icon once more and search for set visibility. We will set it to hit test invisible. Then drag in the slot button and set is enabled to true. Then also off of the slot button set the style to the default style. Now if our equipped weapon is not valid, we will set the item class to null, drag in the item icon and set the visibility to hidden. Then drag in the slot button and this time we will set is enabled to false. And finally call our reset style function. Alright, that's everything for the moment in here. Compile, save, and we can close it. Then let's get our shop widget, duplicate that, call that our equipment, double click, and we can remove the cell widget, remove the last border here, go to the size box, and we will give it a width override of 250 pixel by 350 pixel. The merchant text will now say equipment. Then go to the gray border here, expand the scroll box and delete the grid panel. Now we will add something to our scroll box. First off, we will add a text. which will say weapon. It will be horizontally aligned to the center, and the font type will be bold italic with a size of 18. After that, let's search for a weapon slot and drag that in. Set that to horizontally align center as well. And the padding for this will be 10 pixels from the top. Also give that a name, weapon. After that we will add another text to our scroll box. That will be the name text for the equipped weapon. Make sure that's a variable and give it a padding of 5 to each side. It will be set to horizontally align fill. Lower the font size to 20 maybe. Check the auto wrap text. Justification will be line text center. Then let's double click on the shadow color here and make that opaque. And go to the normal color and opacity. Select something like a very light blue. Also we will set the visibility to collapsed. And finally we will add the last text to our scroll box, which will be the description text. Also a variable with a padding of 5 to every side. Font size can be something like 15 and the font type will be regular. Check the auto wrap text and we will set the visibility to collapsed as well. Then we can compile, save and go to the graph. First let's delete everything for event construct. Let's delete the update gold function, generate item list and also under drag and drop the onDrop. We won't need the merchant and we won't need the top down character. And finally you can also delete the offered item widgets. Then instead of calling onShopClose when we click the close button, we will just set the visibility of our cells to hidden. Then we will add some variables. First a reference to the inventory, which will be a BP inventory reference. And we will need the current item info, which will be a s_item info. Then let's right click somewhere and add a custom event called init. Here we will have an input, which will be the inventory. Inventory reference. So when we initialize our equipment window, we will set the inventory variable to the incoming inventory. And then we will get the weapon and set its inventory reference to the incoming inventory. Finally, we will need one more custom event, which will be called update equipment. And what we'll do is get the inventory, get the top down char reference, get the equipped weapon once again, and search for is valid. If it is valid, we will set the current item info to the item info of the equipped weapon. After that, drag in the name text and drag in the description text. First we will set the name text. And for the int text, drag in the current item info, break it somewhere down here and connect the name. Then off of the description text, set text, connect the description. Then off of one of these, we will set visibility to visible. And we will connect the other one to the target as well, so the name text will go to the target. After we set the visibility, we will drag in our weapon and call update weapon. Let's copy over the text nodes, copy, paste it down here. So if it's not valid, we will set both texts to null, and then we will set the visibility, again connect both to collapse before we update the weapon. Compile, save, that's everything for our equipment window, so we can close it. And let's actually open up our main widget now, because we have to put our equipment inside of that. So here search for equipment, drag that in, call that our equipment window. You can basically put it wherever you want. I will just anchor it to the lower center here and move it somewhere to the left of our inventory. Increase the Z order to 10, compile and save. Then let's go to our graph, and on event construct, after we generate the slot widgets, we will drag in the equipment window and call init and connect our inventory variable to the in inventory. Then compile, save and close the main widget. Now we actually have to call our update functions when we equip a different weapon, and that is done in our top-down character. So let's go there. Go to our equip item function, and to the very right, after we attach the component, we will drag in the inventory reference, get the main widget, get the equipment window, move everything to the left and call update equipment. Then we can copy all of this, Control C, and go to our Unequipped Item function. Here, right after we destroy the actor, we will paste it, connect it to the execution and to the success node here. Then let's compile, save, and actually we will need some inputs for our Unequipped Item function. First one will be a boolean called toSpecific index question mark, and the next one will be the index, which will be an integer. Let's move everything we had before to the side and let's copy it. Then we will hold B and left click to add a branch. After the is valid, we will check whether we want to unequip the item to a specific index in our inventory. If not, we will just add the item. But if we want to, we will paste everything, connect that to the true path, and you will have to go to the return node and check the success here, because somehow you cannot copy that. Then we will remove the add item function, and off of the inventory we will call add to index, add item to index instead. Then the success will be connected to a branch. Amount will be 1. The index comes from our in index, and the item class will be the get class of our equipped weapon. Then we can hit compile and save. Now what you can do is go to the event graph and set up a key to show and hide the equipment window. I will just use the D key since we don't need it anymore to unequip the item. So we will just drag in the inventory reference, get the main widget, get the equipment window, move everything a bit to the left. Then we will search for is visible and we will set visibility. Off of the invisibility, search for a select node, connect the return value of is visible to the index, and the press to the set visibility. So when we press D and our equipment window is not visible at the moment, so for the false we will set it to self hit test invisible, but if it's visible already we will set it to hidden. Compile, save. Now we also have to set up drag and drop for our equipment. So go to the inventory system, drag and drop, right click, new blueprint class, drag drop operation called weapon drag. or you can call it equipment drag, doesn't matter, double click, and we will only need one variable, which will be slot. That will be a weapon slot reference, editable and exposed on spawn. Then we will go back to the weapon slot on the graph, and we will override onDragDetected first. So we will create the dragged item widget with an amount of 1, and after that create drag and drop operation. Let's remove the old node here. For the class, select weapon drag. The slot will be ourselves. Default drag visual comes from our create dragged item widget output. Pivot will be mouse down, and connect the return value to the operation. Then let's override on mouse button down. And here, when we would call on slot clicked, we will remove that, and instead we will get the inventory, get the top down shell reference, and call Unequipped Item. We can leave the specific index as false and index as 0. After that, go to the return node. Let's copy that. Go to on mouse button, double click. So here we will delete everything after the first branch. Move over the return node. So if it's the left mouse button and our slot button is enabled, we will paste what we had before. So just unequip the weapon to no specific index, and after that return with handled. And if it's false, we will return with handled as well. Finally, we have to override on drop. Actually, let's remove everything we had here. So when we cast it to item drag, which means that we then want to equip the item we drop on our weapon slot, we will just drag in the inventory reference and use item at index. The index we will have to get from as item drag slot, get dragged slot, and then get the slot index. Connect that to the index, and after that we will also call reset style. Finally, we will return with true, copy over the return node, and if our cast failed, we will return with false. Compile and save. Lastly, we have to go to our inventory slot, so let's open that. On the graph, we will go to on drag over, and here, after our cast failed to item drag, let's actually make some space here. Before we cast to the storage drag, let's cast to weapon drag. Connect that to the cast failed. Connect the cast failed to the cast to storage slot drag. And if it's true, so if it is a weapon drag, we will set dragged over to true. Compile, save, go to the event graph. On event on drag leave. Make some space here. And when the cast fails, we will cast the operation to weapon drag as well. If the cast fails, go to storage drag. If not, go to the set dragged over to false. Then we have to go to on drop. Actually move that down here. And when the cast fails, we will again cast it to weapon drag. Connect that to the cast failed, and the cast failed to the next cast. Now if it's a weapon that we dropped in our inventory, we will get the inventory reference, get the top down char reference, and call Unequipped Item. But this time we will check the specific index, and the index will come from the slot index. Then we can set dragged over to false, drag in our slot button, set style to the default style. And after that we will return with true. Now we can compile, save and playtest. So when we close the equipment here and hit D, it will appear again. We can pick up our hero swords. We can right click then, call equip. Now we can see it updating here. We have a hero sword, a powerful sword that glows in bright blue. If we right click, we will unequip it. If we drop something on our weapon slot, you can see it shining in blue here. If we drop it, again, you can see the text for it, and it was equipped. We can also hit double click to unequip it. Or we can drag and drop it somewhere in our inventory, and it will be added to the exact slot index. Alright, that's it for our basic equipment window. See you in the next video.